Hi there, it's Bren, and you're watching part one of this month's self-spoken blog series, all about hand gestures. Question for you. Do you ever find yourself wanting to engage your hands when you start speaking, but you worry that they'll become distracting or too much? I notice this all the time when I'm working with clients. I'll ask them to talk through a presentation they're working on or role play a conversation they're about to have, and I'll notice that they'll have this impulse to use their hands to help them explain the point they're trying to make, but then they'll lock their hands down and prevent them from really gesturing at all, like I'm doing right now, either by gripping them or folding them in their lap and not letting them move as freely as they otherwise would. This can become a tell of nervousness or insecurity pretty quickly, which is why this month I'm taking you inside actual client sessions to show you just how much hand gestures influence your ability to gain people's trust. In this first clip, I'm working with an awesome young woman named Dana, and Dana came to me wanting to convey more authority and confidence in professional settings. Right off the bat, I noticed that her hands wanted to be more engaged in what she was saying, but she wasn't quite letting them. And this resistance to letting her hands talk was a huge part of what was making her seem uncomfortable and somewhat insecure. I knew that if I could get her to free up her hands and engage them in a way that wasn't distracting, but overall enhancing, it'd be like turning on a confidence light switch. Let's roll the clip. So one of the things that I noticed is that you're right. In the first sample, you started kind of like leaning forward a little bit, which tells me that your body language very much wants to come online. You're just not letting it. So as you're talking, like your face was nice and relaxed. You seemed perfectly cool, calm, and collected, but your hands weren't talking. So if you look at it on me, I could tell you that I work at a so-and-so fund and I do this and that and the other thing, and I could have really strong articulation and have really strong eye contact, but if my hands aren't moving, I seem a little bit like we're going to do something really silly, okay. But this is like one of the things that every client thanks me the most for teaching them. It's so silly. But what I want you to do is I want you to lift like an imaginary beach ball in front of your body, just like this. Okay, now bring your fingers together and now bring your fingers down in front of your belly button. Okay, but keep that beach ball big. Keep it big, like out in front of your, yeah. Now look down into that circle. Look down into that circle. And memorize that space, like that exact circle, and then drop your hands. This is your gesture box. That circle is the area you want your hands moving, because this is really important. Once you get good at moving your hands want to follow your tension. So for me, like when I'm nervous, my hands want to come high. And if I want to come across as uptight, the quickest way to do that is to let my hands come up and tight. Do you see that? Right in front of that belly button is really that sweet spot. So on purpose, even when you're nervous, even when you feel tense, you keep your hands in that area. But let's take it up one more notch. So once you have your hands in that area, pretend like you're holding 2 tennis balls, okay? 2 imaginary tennis balls. Show them to me in that area. Yeah. Now hold them down, like open in your palm. Yeah. And relax your fingers. Perfect. Yeah, relax your fingers. Now this is gonna feel silly, just trust me on this one. I'm gonna ask you the same question, just about what do you do, tell me about work. And just as you tell me something about work, just keep showing me the tennis balls. So you're showing me 1 tennis ball, you're showing me another. I know It's so silly, but it's gonna warm you up, okay? All right, whenever you're ready, tell me about work. What do you do? Part of the loudness of the chatter is because it has nowhere to go. Like we need to like send it through your body, literally.
Yeah.
Not to mention the awkward thing before, which is that if you don't use your hands like I'm doing right now, I become a little bit like a talking head and it's like, where's your, and now I'm back, right? And now I'm a much more open, engaging, down to earth human being. Cool?
Got it.
So just to reiterate, you want to get your hands engaged from the get-go by being mindful of where you're using them in space. Try not to let them follow your tension and creep up by your chest, and also watch out for any impulse to lock them down by your hips. Instead, remember that gesture box my mentor Kara taught us, and try to aim for that sweet spot right in front of your belly button, because that's where your hands naturally want to go when you're not nervous or tense. And if it helps, pretend you're holding on to 2 tennis balls, so you remember to keep your palms loose and open. And then as you speak your first thought, you can physically hand that idea or that imaginary tennis ball to the person you're speaking to. And then maybe hand another tennis ball to the person sitting over there and hand another tennis ball or 2 to the person sitting over there.
or just keep handing your tennis balls to that one person you're speaking to right in front of you. And I'll be honest, when you first start practicing this technique, it might make you feel a bit more self-conscious because you'll be aware of something you'd otherwise not be thinking about. But first of all, using your hands in this way will instantly make you seem more engaging and confident. And secondly, once you get over the learning curve of engaging your hands from the get-go inside your gesture box, that self-consciousness will go away. I promise. And then you'll just be communicating more effectively without having to think about your hands at all. So just to set the record straight, there's no such thing as gesturing too much. That's like saying you breathe too much. Gesturing is an automatic behavior your body is programmed to kick into to help you express yourself. Think about it. You were using gestures to communicate as a baby way before you had words to ask people for what you needed. And so when someone says you gesture too much, what they really mean is the quality of your gestures is too much, not the quantity. And we're going to dive even deeper into that subject next week. But for now, I'm curious. What do you think about gesturing? Have you ever gotten feedback that you do it too much? Or do you fall into the camp of people who try and keep gestures under control and not really use them as much? Leave a comment below and let me know. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to my e-tribe so I can send you more insights and free giveaways I don't share anywhere else, including my presence playbook, which will prepare you to show up to your next meeting or presentation with less nerves, undeniable presence, and a whole lot of clarity on how to frame your message in a clear and compelling way. In the meantime, keep showing up as that you most want to be. Just one intention, one interaction at a time. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week on the Self-Spoken blog. Bye.